I'd like to say one skill that I have is an extremely high tolerance for risk. And when I say tolerance for risk, I don't necessarily mean I can stomach the risk or I'm someone that likes to gamble. But I don't really care if I lose. I don't really care if things work out in my favor. I'm not concerned with that. Throughout the course of my entire life, I've been the type of person that had to figure it out. Not because, oh, woe is me, I've had such a difficult life. I've had a relatively blessed life. I had a mother that raised me, that provided a roof for me, that gave me food, that fed me, that loved me with all her heart, that sacrificed everything for me. So I've had a relatively good life. Now, the lack of a masculine role model in my life, uh, if you guys know my story, I have a father. They were together, him and my mother, but they split. And throughout my adolescence, when I did see my father, the image I had of him wasn't necessarily the best image. So I had no mentor per se. I had no one that's been through the ropes to guide me and say, hey, well, check this out. I've been here, so avoid doing this, don't do this. Instead, what I had was this little bubble where I remained lost. Throughout life, I had to kind of figure it out. I didn't have guidance. And in trying to figure it out, I actually didn't know what to avoid and I did not know what to do. I kind of just did the thing. So I've taken risks in my life, big risks in regards to financials, in regards to social risks, personal risks. I've just done it all. Mainly because I just didn't know any better. But throughout the past 2 or 3 years, I've noticed that because I've been behaving this way for so long, it's actually something that just stuck. And so I'll give you guys an example. If you guys didn't know, I day trade, right? Swing trade. So I trade options via the stock market. That's actually my main source of income. Content is kind of just a hobby. I do it on the side to document my journey. This is kind of like a personal diary for me, so that I can look back on moments, and I'm like, wow, I remember that. I remember when I was 24 years old and I was going through this. I remember exactly how it felt. So these videos are actually for me. And the cherry on top is it helps some of you guys. So that's why I keep making them. So I trade for a living. And it's extremely risky. Because you lose money, you gain money. And to me, never been I've never been extremely fearful because I've always considered the possibility of what if. Not what if I lose, but what if it goes right? What if I just keep this up? I've been that way for a long time. When I was working at the gym and I was a janitor, I eventually got into sales. So I became a sales representative for the gym I was working for. Every time I walked up to someone to try to sell them a membership, I didn't think, what if they reject me? I said, what if this is the person that's actually going to say yes and help me reach my numbers? It's magnificent. So I expand this framework that's carried me all the years of my life, and I expand it into different sectors in my personal relationships, in my intimate relationships, in my friendships, everything. So I'm making this video because I know a lot of us in certain stages are afraid of the risk. We're at a job, it's comfortable. We want to start the business, we don't know if we should. We want to start doing this, and we're like, well, should I? And my response to you is, what is the worst thing that can happen? Now, it's different for everybody. If you have a child, if you have dependents, if you are paying rent, if you need a consistent amount of money to flow in, otherwise you're homeless. I get it. You may not be so. The idea of risk may not be so encouraging. It may not be so friendly to you. If anything, it's something that you avoid. I understand. Now, I guess I'll speak to the people that don't really have dependents like myself, and I'll speak to the people that do. because I've seen people that had dependents and they've actually done something magnificent. So, given that you don't have any children, you don't have anyone depending on you, and you don't need to survive, but if anything, you're okay. Let's just assume that you live with your parents. Let's assume that you don't really have a lot of bills and you're okay and you're in the building phase trying to figure it all out and you have a support system. Why are you afraid? If you fail, will you be homeless? Because if we think in worst case scenarios, the reason why we don't take risks and the reason why we don't want to do anything is because we're afraid we're going to fail. But it's not necessarily failure that we're afraid of. Are we afraid of what people are going to think about us? Are we afraid that we're going to let ourselves down, that we can't look in the mirror and face ourselves? Are we afraid that we'll lose it all and we'll be on the street homeless? And now we are trying to numb the pain by doing drugs, and now we'll forever be homeless doing drugs? What is it that we're actually afraid of? What's the underlying creeping, eerie thought that's keeping us from taking the leap? I love this saying. I heard it from Layla Hormozy, which is Alex Hormozy's wife. She goes, "Fear is a mile wide and an inch deep." I love it. It's beautiful. Because we look out and we see we see the water and we're like, I'd rather not. It's okay. Like I'm gonna stay right here. I'd rather not jump over there. Until we actually just decide to jump and we realize it's a puddle. Our ankles aren't even wet. You will see who you become when you take the leap. I believe life occurs in cycles. And if you are in this loop, this never ending loop of the same thing for an extended period of time, there's a lesson that you have not learned yet, which is why the same things are repeating. You are going through the same emotional states, experiencing the same things, in the same circumstances, in the same situation. Nothing's really changed. And it's because you've yet to change. When you change, I'm assuming the universe looks at you and say, "Aha! You finally did it, kid." And the universe opens doors for you and says, "Now that you've changed and you understood the lesson, I'm going to allow you to enter this new phase. But with this phase comes responsibility. You will be faced with new, challenging foes. You will see a lot of magnificent things, and it's a new journey." And so that's what we call a breakthrough moment, where you can reflect and you identify the cycle that you're living in. And you say, "Wow." And you say, "I understand." When you understand, and you can say, "Okay, now that I see this constant loop I'm living in, I need to identify what is that one thing I have to change." When you can identify that one thing, 9 times out of 10, your life transforms. Everything changes. New opportunities, new people, new atmosphere, new emotional state. Everything changes. This is coming from the person who has feared never being enough his entire life. This is coming from the person who did not want to fail. The last thing I ever wanted to do was fail. Because I was fed into this dogma that as a man, I must live up to X, Y, and Z. I need to be courageous. I need to be strong. I need to be the pillar of hope, the beacon of hope, the foundation for my family. And if I don't achieve X, Y, and Z, I am nothing like a man. If anything, I am an infant child. And so my value that I had for myself was at zero when I was in those seasons where I didn't have anything. I felt empty. I felt so worthless as a man, as a human, as a son, as a future partner. I felt like I didn't deserve anything. And in those moments, when I was able to reflect and identify this cycle that I was living in, I broke out of it and I said, despite this fear, I'm just going to do it. Despite me being fearful, I will just go. And as I just went, I figured it out. The reason why we don't have it figured out is because we haven't even tried. When you start to try, you force your brain to figure it out. If you don't try, there's nothing to figure out because it's just an idea, it's just a possibility. When you actually start to do the thing, you're like, I have just brought this idea to reality. I actually have to figure it out now. And your brain switches to this survival mode, fight or flight. And this anxious mind that you have that constantly goes is not creating devastation or destruction, but instead it's playing a role in helping you identify a problem, create a solution, and so you grow and you scale and you expand and you move forward. This is me trying to tell you to go all in. You have time. And the reason why I say you have time, and I'm speaking purely to the people without dependence. If you have dependence, I'll speak to you in just a second. If you have this idea that you have time, you become a much more fearful, powerful opponent. Now, this does not mean it's an excuse to procrastinate, and I'll tell you why. When I was working at the gym, I had a conversation with a very intelligent man. I forget his name. But I guess we somehow ended up just talking about life for a few hours, and I was just so consumed with trying to get to my goals. I was just so consumed with trying to do something great. And I told him, I said, hey, I don't think I have time. Like, I got to make it happen now. He's like, kid, you got time. I said, no, I don't. I mean, yeah, I might have time, but no, I don't. He said, I'll tell you what, kid, you're right. You don't have time. So how about, do you firmly believe you don't have time? I said, yeah, I got to make it happen now. He said, okay, I'm going to meet you back here tomorrow. Bring $100. I said, why? He's like, well, you're firm on the fact that you don't have time. I'm firm on the fact that you do. So let's bet. Let's have a wager, why don't we? I'm going to put $100 on the table saying you do have time and you wake up tomorrow. You're going to put $100 on the table and say you don't have time, you don't wake up tomorrow. And let's see who taps out first. And at that moment, I said, yeah, I'd probably tap out after about 10 days because that's $1,000 gone. And ever since I had that conversation with that man, my entire framework and the way I view life changed. I adopted this idea that I can literally do everything wrong for the next 3 years and still be okay. And any single time that I felt frustrated or I was concerned or I was fearful and I needed to make it and I needed to do something, I realized that my constant fixation, my constant obsession with the outcome is literally the thing destroying me. It is not the car, it is not the dollar amount, it is none of that. Because if I achieve that, I get the car and the house, I achieve all these tangible goals, I have the money, I will not, I'll have it all. And the paradox is, when you have it, you don't need it. When you don't have it, it seems like you need it. And so I realized I'm able to put myself in this unforeseeable future state. I call it future me. And I'm able to try to think how future me thinks. And future me has the money, the cars, the clothes, the success, the career. And he doesn't need it. And he's not fixated on it. If anything, he's looking back on the past 20 years that he'd trade all this money for, all the cars, all the success. He would trade it all just to get another 20 years of life, just to be 24 again, just to try for the sake of trying, to fight for the thrill of the fight, not for the title, not for the championship, not for the belt, not to win, but to fight. And when I realized that, I said, wow, oh my gosh. Future me doesn't give a damn about any of this. And that was the moment that everything changed. It's about the journey. And you hear everyone say this, and it's so repetitive and so annoying, so I'm going to try my best to explain why it's the truth. How many times in your life did you have a set goal, a definite aim, and you shot, and you did what it took to achieve that goal, and once it was finally in your hands, you said, that's it? Huh, I was expecting something different. Unicorns flying through the airs, rays of rainbow shooting, the gates of heaven opening up, and everything changing. How many times did you have that definitive aim? You shot for a goal. And when you finally had it, you were wondering, why do I feel empty? And it's exactly that. It's because you did not even appreciate, identify, acknowledge who you became, what it took. But instead, you said, this was what I wanted. Real fulfillment is in looking back. Strength is in looking forward. Peace is from being here. When you look back, you can see how far you've traveled. You can give yourself some credit when you do that. You can give yourself the pat on the back that you deserve because you made it far. And you've done a great deal with the cards that you were dealt. The more you tunnel in on some tangible goal, the blurrier the vision. The more you ask yourself, who do I have to become? The farther you can go. We're playing this game for longevity. Unless you're not. But I would assume that if life is longevity and you're gonna live over a few decades, you should play the game of personal growth like that, business, learning, anything. Play it for longevity. Play for longevity. Make adjustments for longevity. So if, for example, being in immense physical condition and being healthy and strong is your goal, don't play for the instant gratification and the satisfaction of looking a certain way. Instead, extend it and play for longevity. So say, I don't want to just look good now, but I want to feel good in 40 years. And so what happens is you change your training routine. You change the things you put inside your body. Everything shifts, everything changes. Now, if we look at the game of business, finance, anything, similar to how we play the game of life, then what happens is we're not really fixed on the short-term pleasures. We won't just jump at every opportunity that will give us satisfaction and gratification because we'll just get to see a large amount of money. But instead, we play this investing framework, which is, what about 20 years from now? What about 10 years from now? Will this decision be making me money 20 years from now, 10 years from now? Or will this decision be the very thing that I go bankrupt 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Will I lose money 20 years from now with this, or will I gain a large lump sum? Which is why I love the investment framework. And when I trade, I love that framework in helping me create guiding principles. The short-term grab is fine. We get the instant gratification. We feel like we're progressing, right? The reason why we enjoy short-term gratification and instant pleasure is because it makes us assume that there is progression. If I said, would you rather get $1,000 a day, and by the end of the year you'd have 365,000, or if I said you get no money every day, but at the end of the year you get a lump sum of 365. Some people was just like, give me 1,000 a day, because they need to see something happening. When we see something happening, we assume that we're progressing. We are creatures that expand. We are creatures that grow, that evolve. It's in our genetic makeup. Because if we weren't meant to evolve, we would not have made it this far. Whether or not you think you're evolving, whether or not you think you're growing, you are growing even when you don't think you're growing. You are evolving even when you don't think you're evolving. As long as your mind and your brain can create thought, those thoughts are the seeds that get planted, which is responsible for evolution, responsible for ideas, responsible for action. They create these thoughts that we have, these seeds that we plant inside our minds, they create hidden desires, hidden motives, hidden ideas that eventually, not now, but eventually will bloom and blossom. We are meant to grow and evolve. Sometimes when we force growth and force this evolution, that's when it gets hard. When we simply let us just grow naturally and evolve naturally, it seems like there's no tension. But when we are adamant on growth, we force it, it becomes a struggle to do the thing. So here's what I propose. I propose that one, if you have an idea, just take the risk. Again, I'm speaking for people that don't have dependents, people that are under people that have a roof over their head, they don't really pay a lot of bills, their parents got them, like they're good. Okay? Take the risk. The worst that'll happen is you restart. You gain a lesson. So what you're really doing is you're trading time for a lesson. That's it. If you start a business and it fails, you are trading time and a lesson, and you are just paying rent. Consider the money you lost is rent. You're paying rent. As you pay rent, you get a lesson. So all you're doing is sacrificing time and a little bit of money. What's the worst case? You have to go get a job again? That is fine. That's called restarting. It's okay. Restarting is actually, if you want inspiration and if you want to challenge the idea that failure is not okay, listen to the documentaries of some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the world. They've restarted. They've had to get a job. They had to work. They've been broke. They've lost it all. It's part of the game. You just have to lose it all to develop this tenacity. You just have to be broke. You just have to fail in order to callous your mind for the inevitability that you win. If you can keep rinsing and repeating and just keep on doing it. So take the risk. Two, understand that we are creatures that evolve. So that means we have to grow. Part of growth means you have to do the thing that's really hard for you to do. Try not to force it. And here's what I would recommend. If you force growth, what it means is you challenge every single weakness, which is great. Forcing growth is I have to. If you have to do something, you are not that thing. If I tell you that it is within our genetic makeup that we just naturally evolve, that means that we are naturally creatures that evolve. You don't have to force evolution. You don't have to force growth. Did you have to force you getting taller by the year since you were 4? No, it happened as a byproduct of you existing. Here's how you don't force it. Go every day through life simply with vision and making sure that everything you do is directly impacting you, getting closer to the vision. I'm going to say that again. Go through life with a vision. Believe that vision is going to happen. Not because of some affirmation, manifestation, voodoo nonsense, but because you just have to have a little bit of hope. We're creatures that run off hope. This is why we believe in God. This is why people turn to religion. We need something to believe in. Otherwise, this vast existence is just a big void of nothingness. And with that concept in mind, welcome to philosophy, it's very hard to establish meaning. So believe because it gives you hope. Believe in yourself so you can be hopeful. Believe that it'll happen because it'll give you enough hope to live tomorrow. Wake up tomorrow. Now, to not force growth, have the vision, believe in yourself, and just do the things that are directly impacting you getting closer to the vision. So if your vision is directly getting in better shape, you do not have to study how to write source code to get in better shape. You just do whatever it takes to get into better shape. That's it. It's a singular vision, singular focus, one at a time. Because when you start diversifying, that's when you feel death. That's when you feel like you're being pulled in 50 different ways. That's stress that you don't need. If you really just want money, you probably shouldn't be reading a book on how to get in shape. And I'd argue you don't need to get in shape because your main goal is money. So you just need to work. And you need to build. And you need to take the risk. That's if your main goal is money. If your main goal is to build a successful business, I don't think you need to go to the sauna an hour a day, 2 hours a day. So it depends what your main goal is, right? For me, at least, I've had phases where I did all these things. And I only did it because one of my main goals was becoming mentally strong, mentally tough. I wanted to be able to endure a lot of pain. I wanted my stress tolerance to increase because I knew that if in the case that life gets even harder, I wanted to already be a resilient person that's capable of facing any type of foe that is presented to me. So I would stay in the sauna for an extended period of time. I do the cold showers. I do this. I do the hard training. I do the late nights. I'd wake up early. And it's all because one of my main goals was to develop mental tenacity. I really wanted to become strong and capable, resilient, courageous. Eventually, when I wanted to really focus on accumulating a large amount of wealth, I stopped doing a lot of these things and I just focused on learning about trading, right? So you guys will notice I slowed down on making YouTube videos because a lot of my time is devoted to learning about trading. I haven't forgot about you guys though, but I noticed that making YouTube videos may not directly impact me acquiring a lot of wealth right now, but it can definitely be a key player on a long enough time horizon, which is why I make these videos still. I've just decreased the volume. In the past, growing on YouTube was up in my priority list. Right now, day trading, trading is in my priority list. So I don't read books on psychology anymore. I don't spend a long time in the sauna. I don't I don't do any of these things because I'm really just focused on trading. Now, second to that, I still want to be extremely mentally capable of doing hard things. So yes, I still train, but I don't need to spend an hour in the sauna. Yes, I still wake up early. I just do the things that help me become more mentally resilient, and I accompany that with trading. And so I pull away from just things that aren't necessarily directly impacting me, helping me get closer to my vision. And what that is me growing without a lot of resistance. Because when I wake up and I force growth and I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, then I'm not that. I was having a conversation with someone at the gym, and this was during New Year's. He asked, "What's your goals for 2025?" I said, "To not have any goals, to just be." He gave me a smirk. He's like 50 years old. He gave me a smirk. He's like, "Who taught you that?" I said, "I guess I came to that realization on my own." We started talking. He's like, "Man, if I had that framework when I was your age, boy, I don't know where I'd be." Right? So I appreciated that. Just be, and it'll come. When you force, it runs away. When you just are, it gravitates towards you like a magnet. I wish I had an explanation for why that is. You might have to give me a few years of studying physics, energy, frequency, vibration, the law of magnetism. You'll have to give me years of studying that for me to come to some type of explanation. But all I know is when you force things, it runs. When you just are, when you just become, when you are grounded and everything is okay and you are connected, the thing that you need most, and sometimes that's the thing that you want, it flows like a magnet to you, almost as though, huh, finally, return back home to me, right? Chase a dog, it runs away. Sit down and enjoy the sun, the dog comes to you. Very strange, isn't it? So, again, if you are in a situation where you can take the risk, consider it as that exactly. You have a privilege. The privilege is you have the opportunity to take a risk. Entrepreneurs take risks every day, they bet every day. Business owners bet every day. People that trade bet every day. They line up, they go to bat, and it usually only takes that one hit, and it's a home run. We bet every day. We bet small, we bet big, hoping for a return. If you have the means to take big risks, knowing that you won't be homeless, knowing that you'll have a couch to sleep on, a bed to lay on, a roof over your head, and food, you're winning. Use that as an opportunity to take the risks that not a lot of people can. Because it's not taking a risk. In the present moment, it's a risk. If you let it slip, then it'll never be an opportunity. It's only an opportunity looking backwards. In the present moment, it's risky. But I promise you, if you just go forward, in 2 years, you'll be like, wow, that was an opportunity. Now, let's say you have kids. Let's say you have dependents, and let's say you have bills to pay, trying to survive. Risk is something that you are not a fan of because you have to do something. So now let me introduce this idea and this framework to you. Let's say starting a business means, let me see, let's say you want to sell a product or a service. And to sell a product or a service, you have to design the product or a service. You have to brand it. You have to name it. And then you just have to tell people that you have it so that they can buy it and give you money for that thing. And let's just say we come to the realization that the best way to make money is to tell people that you have something that might benefit them. So now, when we break it down like that, we have to think, okay, how can I tell as many people as possible, right? Well, content would be one. Reaching out to people, direct messaging people would be one. Making yourself known would be one. Building the campaign and pressing the run the ad, that'd be one, right? So if we understand that to get money as a business owner, you have to just tell as many people as possible, then it becomes a volume game. It becomes, I need to make more content. I think that similar to how people who don't have children, who must survive and need a steady flow of income, or the people that don't have kids and the people that have it, you can call it good, or the people that don't have dependents and they have the means to take risks, have a superpower, which is the ability to take risks. I'd say that if you have dependents and kids and people that rely on you, you have a superpower, which is the ability to fight when your back's against the wall. Because someone who doesn't have dependents, does not have kids, will not be evicted from their home if they don't pay the bills. That person has the flexibility to run around the arena. Think of a bull charging at you, and that person can run around the arena. If you have kids and dependents, the bull is charging at you, and there is no arena. There's just a wall, and you have a sword. So what are you gonna do? Just let the bull stab you in the heart, or will you jab at the bull? Here's the main difference. That person who gets to run around the arena will never face the bull and will keep running because they have the means to keep running. You have to face the bull. So it's a 50-50. It's either you're going to stab the bull and you win, or that bull is going to rip that sword. You are rolling the dice on whether or not you can make it, but you're going to fight. So I'd actually encourage people who have dependents, who have children and a house, to start the business, to do the thing they're afraid of, because there's fear. Fear is one of the most potent emotions, or whatever it is. The fear of not taking care of your loved ones, the fear of being homeless, the fear of being the reason why your kids suffer, that will be your drive and your fuel, which is a fuel that person A cannot experience. I cannot experience that. I don't know what it means to have my back against the wall and I have to act. What I have to do is I have an arena that I can run around. And the bull is charging at me. And instead of running around, I am the stupid person who decides to try to fight the bull when everyone in the arena is saying, run, what are you doing? I'm like, nope. I'm eventually going to have to face this bull. I can't run forever. I'm just going to do it now. I have to force myself into this do or die back against the wall framework, knowing I have time, knowing that if I fail, I have a couch to sleep on, a roof over my head, a mother that will love me and take care of me. But I still choose to fight. And that's really hard, right? Because I had to, because I'm literally rolling the dice when I don't have to roll the dice. I am choosing pain when I can just run. But I said, how long can I run for? Will I die of exhaustion? Will my legs give out? I'd rather just face the bull now. So if you have children and dependents, you have a superpower, which is a fire of knowing that you literally cannot fail. It's called, I don't have a plan B. I have to make plan A work. And The people that have that back against the wall mentality, they make the most happen because out of desperation will you produce. Out of desperation will you make something happen. Desperation isn't always bad. It's a potent fuel. So use it. Again, if you have children dependents, I know I can't really speak too much on it because I don't have it, but you have a superpower and you have something you can leverage. You know, I'm big on leverage. And what you can leverage is that right there. You can leverage, I have a kid, I have people depending on me. Yes, you do. Fear. So use it. Use it. If someone held a gun to your kid's head and said, start a business, how fast would you start a business to save your kid's life? Now, if someone held a gun to your kid's head and said, make your first sale, I don't care how you do it. How fast would you try to make a sale? You'd probably beg your neighbor to buy it. You'd probably make videos. And you don't even need to know what you're doing because you're like, well, I just need to make one sale to save my kid's life. So use that framework and have it push you. Let it be your propellant to make things happen. You have a strength that most people don't. Again, your strength is your back's against the wall, so you're forced to fight. And when you're forced to fight, you have no idea what you're capable of. I can speak on that because I am forcing myself to fight despite my back not really being against the wall, knowing I have time, knowing I'm 24 and I have years ahead of me, that I can build slowly, that I can do that. I'm choosing to pretend like my back's against the wall so I can feel the power that you have. And as I've been doing that for a few years, I feel that power. You have no choice. You have to go. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't have a plan B. Even though I do have a plan B. My plan B is, okay, I restart. But to me, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. I don't have a plan B. I'm screwed if I don't make plan A work. So, once again, take the risk. Use what you have. People that don't have much to lose, live with your parents, use it. You're living with your parents. Yes, it's okay. Don't let the world tear you down for having that privilege. It's a luxury. Use it. What do you have to prove, man? Use it. Yes, you live with your parents. Good. Good. Use it, for crying out loud. Use the fact that you will have a roof over your head to give you a safety net to take the risks. What if you take the risk and you win? What if you launch the store and you get your first sale within 24 hours? What if in a month you sell I don't know 150 units? Like, come on, man, take the risk. You got it. You have a safety net. Jump knowing you'll be caught. Yes. If you're on the top of a cliff and there's nothing at the bottom, it's hard to jump, right? What if you look down and it's a cloud full of pillows? Would you jump? You're like, oh, I'm laying in pillows. If you have parents and a support system, that is your pillow. That's your safety net. So go knowing that you will be okay. Again, if you don't have that luxury, if you are the support system for others and you just can't afford to take the risk and lose and fail and waste time, remember that you will figure it out because you've been doing it before. So what's going to change if you decide to start a business or do something? What's going to change? You don't have a plan B. The moment you go with plan A, you have to make plan A work, correct? So what's the difference now? You've been able to do it before. You can do it here. Except here is a little bit more uncomfortable because there's an element of uncertainty. But the certainty now depends on your work that you put in, the volume. And so now it's purely work ethic. It's how hard will you jam this button? Business owners, you have a button that it's like a money printing button. And just think of this button as content, running ads, messaging people, sending emails. Press this button as often as possible. Make as much content as possible. Reach out to people as much as possible. Okay, running ads is different, right? Because now you need a return on your ad spend. So that's a little bit different. Maybe you can't crank that all the way. Maybe it's over here that you can touch every now and then, right? But you can there is no limit to how much content you can post. There is no limit. If my main goal was to grow my social media to a certain number, oh my gosh, I'd be cranking content on all platforms as much as possible. But I don't have anything to sell you. I don't have a product. I kind of just do this to document my own journey in hopes that you guys come along, and then one day we'll be at a couple million subscribers, and I'll look back like, what the heck happened? That's literally why I do this. I don't have an ebook to sell you. I don't have a course to sell you. If anything, your time is the thing that pays me because I run ads on my videos. Like I get paid, but it's not a lot. I think I make like 100 a month on YouTube, man. Right? So just take the risk. I remember when I started my YouTube channel, I had no idea what I was doing. I remember it was like a year and a half ago, I had like 100 subscribers. This channel used to be called After Hours, where I would just come and talk and give lectures. Things change, man. You adapt, you pivot. And now we're almost at 12,000. I don't know how I'm doing it. I just I record on a MacBook. I press a button and I talk. And you guys tune in. So for crying out loud, man, you got this. Go, take the risk, go. What can go wrong? You have nothing but to gain. What if I fail? What if you fly? What if I lose? What if you win? What if I go broke? What if you make money? What if people judge me? What if you don't care? There will always be a what if. Are you going to look at the what ifs that hold you back, or are you going to look at the what ifs that make you want to try and roll that dice? We make bets every day, man. Don't look back on your life and wonder what if. Don't look back on your life wondering how much more you could have done. That's the worst regret that you can have, because we have unlimited potential. You want to know why? It's because we see people like Elon Musk and Bezos, that Mark Zuckerberg, that do the impossible, man. Us as humans have infinite potential. There are other humans out there that show us every day and remind us. We are no different from them. We're human. They have something, which is they don't have an off button. That's what they have. They don't know how to turn off. You have a hard time cranking and turning on. That's all. Me, myself, I have a hard time turning on. I have an off button. I press it all the time. So if we can just disable this off button and crank and just go and don't know how to turn the car off, you'll see how far you get. Speed up. Take the risk. Go all in. This is literally for you. And you will just win, or if you lose, you're not going to regret doing this because you have a valuable experience. And if you win, you're definitely not going to regret doing this. So just try. Start the drop shipping store. Set up the Amazon store. Do it. Create a brand. You don't know how to? Use YouTube. Design the product. Make your first sale. Make the content. Make the Instagram page, man. Do it. You got this. I don't know what else to tell you. You can do this. This is not a money problem. This is a human problem. This is a human issue. If you have fear, use it. Let it propel you. Go. And you will just see how capable you are. Don't live with regret. Live knowing that you left everything on the table, that you gave it all you could, that really, really you tried. That's the best way to live. So good luck to you. Take the risk. You won't regret it. If it's been lingering in your head, it was given to you for a reason. And if you don't take the risk, you will live the same loop until you learn the lesson. And the lesson might just be, I have to grow some testicular fortitude, aka grow some balls. If you have an idea, bring it to reality. Just go. Just go. And I promise you, as you go, you will figure it out. Start and notice how your brain starts rewiring itself. Not looking for fear and the possibilities of things going wrong, but now trying to identify how to make it go right. Just start. You'll see for yourself. You'll see. Don't keep living in the same loop. Your lesson might just be that you need to learn how to eliminate fear and go. And I can guarantee you, if you can show the universe that you understand that you are boundless, that you can do it all, that you have infinite potential, if you can show the universe that you acknowledge that, things will change. The universe will reward you, open new doors for you, present new challenges that you will get past, but things will change. You won't be living in this cycle anymore. You will transcend to a different cycle, a cycle of growth. You don't believe me? I dare you to try it. I dare you. I dare you to show the universe that you get it, that you understand the lesson. And when you can communicate like that with the universe and say, I learned my lesson, I got it, I see what you want from me, you will just see how the universe respects that. You will just see by natural law, by the law of cause and effect, you will see with your own two eyes, evidently, how the universe rewards that. Just go. You got it. I believe in you. I really do. That's all I got.